At ease, soldiers. Delightful. If I seem a little off today, I apologize, but I am still reeling over the second season of Queer Ultimatum. God damn, those women were messy. Happy July, everybody. We all somehow made it through Pride Month. Now, as always, I had a bunch of grand plans to read a bunch of queer books in June, and I did. I always make sure that I only read queer books in June. However, looking back on this stack, I realized that it's, oops, all Sapphics. I had plans to read some Achillean fantasies and some trans-regency romances, and then that simply did not happen. Oh, am I not wearing a necklace? Hold on. This is the high quality content you come to my channel for. So this certified girl kisser read a lot of books about girls kissing last month. And I had a great time. There was dance competitions and fake honeymoons and sexy, toxic vampires. And if I had a nickel for every time I read a dark sapphic fantasy novel where the main character was in love with a swan and also had daddy issues, I'd have 2 nickels. But also some sex marathons that truly go beyond the bounds of what I thought humans were capable of, and some questionable things about sibling dynamics that, as someone who doesn't have a sibling, still felt weird, and I need to yell about them. So without further ado, grab a drink, grab a snack, and buckle in. Join me as we talk about the 6 sapphic books that I read in the month of June. We're going to begin with the trifecta of sapphic rom-coms, first of all being My Best Friend's Honeymoon by Meryl Wilsner. I was sent this by St. Martin's Press. I did a sponsored video with them at the beginning of this month, and this story was an absolute wild ride. Pun fully intended. Best friends Elsie and Ginny have been friends for over a decade, and Elsie is about to get married, but when she breaks off her engagement last minute and it turns out that the honeymoon that her now ex-fiance planned is non-refundable, the two of them decide to go on it and are finding out more about each other. Ginny's a non-binary lesbian, Elsie is queer, and the two of them are kind of rediscovering themselves and also like what their relationship looks like going forward. The emotional core of this was quite sweet. It's all about feeling settled in your own identity and like coming to terms with who you are outside of a relationship, outside of being a people pleaser, suppressing parts of yourself from a young age because you've been told that those parts are bad, and particularly when it comes to queerness and gayness. A very accurate depiction of what it's like being in love with your best friend, the kind of the teasing and the like, oh yeah, no, it's totally just a joke, and like the maybes, but the maybe nots. I love how much focus they put on friendships being important and being fulfilling relationships in your lives, and it's not always about the person that can give you a certain kind of love or sex or romance is like better than someone that you feel another type of close connection to, and that their friendship was really, really good. Now, Elsie and Ginny flirt for the majority of like the first half, and then once the wall comes down, these two are horny. Like, my God, the way that they go at it is concerning and impressive. Now, I know this was pitched as spicy and it's Meryl Wilsner, and, you know, I was expecting some sex and romance, and I was expecting like a couple of sex scenes. No. They really upped the ante in this one, because what I tell you, from page 115 to 174, they are getting it on. And don't get me wrong, I love plot with my smut, but it was just like like it stretched human belief. It was truly like horrifying, and yet I couldn't look away. Funnily enough, the ending was very sweet, and I really loved the whole story of their friendship and their codependence and like being able to sit in their own identities but also like be themselves together. So I really did enjoy this, but just like, I don't know, be warned maybe. Appropriately second is Second Nightstand by Corelia and Faye Stetz Waters. And this is a lesbian rom-com about a ballerina and a burlesque dancer that fall in love while also competing on like an America's Got Talent type TV show. On the night before the big competition, Lillian and Blue hook up with one another, not knowing who the other person is, and then the next day they see each other and their full dance troops are both competing, and the two of them are like into this forbidden relationship. And of course they both want the prize money for different reasons. Blue wants it because she wants to refurbish an old theater in hopes of making it a open queer space, and Lillian needs the money because the corporate sponsor of her all-black ballet company is pulling out unless they can win this competition. It was sweet and it was fun, but it was also much more deeply emotional than I was expecting. Really intense subplots for both characters on like what it's like growing up with emotionally abusive parents and like parental neglect, what it's like giving up your life to pursue a sport professionally, and like that want for attention and that craving for love, but also having no work-life balance. We have Blue's plot with her emotionally unavailable mother caring only for her younger sister, and Lillian's Lillian's plot of her mother being this prima ballerina that, rose to fame and then had all her hopes and dreams put on her daughter. But it was also those themes that made the other themes stand out. Like, we have this deep emotional intimacy between Lillian and Izzy that was really well paced and like really well set out. And it was like, oh my god, characters that actually like and respect one another, unheard of. And the found family aspects of both dance companies, it was really fun to read. And like, we love a bunch of big personalities in a room. And as a burlesque performer myself, they were very accurate in the hazards of performing, because like, no matter if you put it on yourself or not, you will come home from a gig covered in glitter, and you will be finding rhinestones in your home for 2 to 3 business weeks after sewing up a costume. But on the subject of dance, I think that's actually where it fell a little short. And like, I get it's a romance novel, it's more about the relationship building, but like, I kind of wish we had got more technical jargon, because like, we see them perform on page a couple of times, but it's mostly like, oh, and then we performed, and then like, the next day this happened, or like, oh, we just had practice for 4 hours. And I'm like, show me the practice. What are you guys doing in there? But other than that, I thought this was a really beautiful book. It was very cute. I really liked the ending, and I really liked the like deep bonds and emotional intimacy that we got in this. Speaking of hopes and dreams, a third of the Sapphic trifecta that I read in June was Dream On, Ramona Riley by Ashley Herring Blake, and I'm so happy to say this was a great Ashley Herring Blake book, okay? Because after that last one, the Christmas one, was, oh, boo, bad. No, thank you. We're gonna go just do like best 2 out of 3. We're gonna wipe that score from the board. Thank God this was great. Ramona had to quit her dream of being a costume designer in Hollywood when she had to leave the prestigious school she was attending to take care of her father after he had a car accident and make sure that her younger sister was going through school. But that was over a decade ago, and she's never left Clover Lake since. And she now works as a waitress at a local restaurant when it turns out that Clover Lake is going to be the set of the newest blockbuster sapphic rom-com, and a big Hollywood star, Dylan Monroe, is coming to town. Dylan had a tumultuous upbringing. She had rock star parents, and she's been playing villains on TV since she could remember. After a disastrous breakup, was very publicly in the press. She takes on a role to help clean up her image, but then it turns out that Ramona and Dylan do have a bit of a shared history, and the two of them are colliding once again. I particularly like Dylan. I think her complicated relationship with fame and self-worth was very compelling, especially how she has panic attacks and like spirals over her career, and she just wants stability and like to be loved. And then Ramona has this whole plot line of like rediscovering herself and her own love, because she's been this mother figure to her sister and feels like she has to take care of her family, and it's kind of like rediscovery of what she wants. And look, I'm a simple gay, okay? Give me some Drag Race references and some cottagecore bullshit and I'm on board. But like, what is it with the queers and their mushrooms? I say, wearing girls' earrings, holding a sword with my 3 moth tattoos, okay? I get it, I'm a stereotype. This is technically a miscommunication trope, but I didn't dislike it, which is crazy for me, because it makes sense with how these characters interact, not only with their past, but like with their current job situation and like being under the microscope of fame. The sexy times were very sexy. I liked the range of activities present, and I thought the relationships around sex and romance and like what it means to be a couple, but also be in the public eye, was very refreshing, because it's like, oh, thank God we're actually asking the real questions. The one thing she did need to do, though, was like dial back the quirky just like 2 notches. Like, it was just a little bit too much sometimes. I absolutely also hated our main character's best friend, and I know she's gonna be the main character for the next book, and I think I just might not read it. Like, April pissed me the fuck off. It was also a very sweet ending, and we love an Iris Kelly Easter egg, so I did very much so enjoy this. I don't know if it's like my top Ashley Herring Blake book, but it's definitely one of my favorite Ashley Herring Blake books. Okay, sorry, this is really fizzy and it kind of hurts. We did all the cute shit first, and now we're gonna get into the weird stuff. So like, link your carabiners up, ladies. It's about to get wild. Link up your carabiners? Do you lock them together? Do you like hook them? Do you clip them? Is it a clip situation? I don't rock climb, and I'm bisexual. I do not know the inner workings of lesbian culture, okay? I'm so sorry. Hey, I can say these things, okay? I have lesbian friends. My girlfriend is a lesbian. And once again, speaking about lesbians, let me show you one of the most beautiful books that I've read this year and also ever. Darkly enchanting, gloomy, atmospheric lesbian fantasy book. A vengeful sapphic retelling of Swan Lake. It is A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Paranik. I actually won this in a giveaway that Simon & Schuster were running on Instagram, and like, Oh my god, I don't know if I've ever been happier. Odile is a young street thief who lives in a world where the goddesses abandoned them and the kingdom a couple hundred years ago, and so nothing grows right. And Odile's adopted father is a vengeful sorcerer. He's one of the only people who can still do magic, and he has tasked her to go into the palace and help him steal the royal crown, as it's one of the only items left that has real magic, and is one of the only things that can help restore magic to the kingdom. And when Odile's childhood friend turned enemy, Marie, is rumored to be the next queen of court, Odile and her father turn her into a swan, and Odile takes over her identity in order to infiltrate the kingdom. But when the king is mysteriously found dead and Odile's brother is blamed as the culprit, she goes behind her adoptive father's back and teams up with Marie, who is sometimes a swan, and the two of them are trying to figure out what this new evil is lurking in the palace. This is exactly the type of writing that I love. It is dark and moody and twisty and enchanting. The chateau is a violent one, bleak and lifeless against the pit of night. Its towers are sharp as wolf teeth, the few lit windows slit like a snake's pupils. There's something vigilant about it, something prowling, as if though through grinning, lips pulled back, a predator anticipating a kill. There's something grimly, uncomfortably elegant to it all, like a wealthy widow standing before her husband's grave. Marie and Odile do share a past growing up, and now that they're back together and they're kind of circling one another over again, that was so compelling, especially considering that Odile is so entrenched in the idea that she is the villain and that she doesn't deserve love, and that Marie is here trying to accept her again and do what's right. And I'm just let your hot swan wife love you. Also was a lot more about the complicated relationships that we have with love, and particularly with toxic relationships and parental abuse, but then also wanting love but not knowing how to show it properly, but also going to the ends of the earth for people that you do love. And what I love is I love my theater gays. Theater people, rise up. This book is for us. The behind the scenes magic of the theater is linked so heavily with the behind the scenes actual magic of accidentally turning someone into a swan, using costumes and taking on characters in order to survive or to manipulate was a really good parallel. In my notes, I wrote, this book is a symphony. There's so many small things to look at. There's so many larger things to appreciate. And it's so full of velvet curtains and gold statues and swan's feathers and sharp words. The only thing about this that I did not like was the epilogue. So I would recommend just not reading the epilogue, because it did what, in my opinion, is a profound sin, and that is it does a big time skip where it's and then all these things happened. Why didn't you just write either a conclusive ending and not leave it open to have an epilogue, or B, why didn't you just write a series? Because I would have loved a whole series of this, particularly once we get to the end more with the gods and the goddesses and what we leave the cliffhanger on. So I give this a begrudging 5 stars. And what can I say? I have a type when it comes to books. So I have a similar darkly enchanting novel, except this time it's a seaside gothic, and then it's Tenderly I Am Devoured by Lyndall Clipstone. 2 out of 2, yet another perfect book for me specifically. But instead of feathers and gold and dark velvet and sharp words, we have feathers and dried thorns and melancholy and the grit of sea salt. Books Forward reached out to me and asked if I wanted a book that was Saltburn meets A Study in Drowning meets Divine Rivals, and I said yes, very much so. Please send that my way so you can blame them for the things that you're about to hear. 18-year-old Lacrimosa, aka Lark, returns home after being expelled from her prestigious boarding school, only to find her family on the edge of financial ruin. So to save them, she decides to go and marry a dark chthonic god of their seaside town, as one does. But then the betrothal ceremony goes horribly wrong, and she finds herself fading away from the mortal world and having these horrible breaks in reality. So she has to trust her childhood friend turned enemy, Alistair, and his alluring older sister Camille. So the three of them are trying to untangle this messy web of lies and betrayal and past friendships and family connections, and it gets so good and so weird. The rituals and the repetition of the worship of this god of the sea is so unsettling and so divine at the same time. This is something that I should have waited until November to read. I was reading this in 30-degree heat in a gazebo in direct sunlight. That was absolutely not the move. Lark is so desperate and so vulnerable, especially once you start figuring out why she was disgraced from her academy, and her having all these breaks of reality and weird dreams where she's in a bathtub drowning in kelp, and then there's ocean water coming cascading down the stairs, and then she wakes up and realizes everything's dry. seeing amber eyes in all the mirrors and then like waking up outside in the middle of the ocean. There are some body horror aspects of like crying blood and like growing feathers. And it's very fitting that her name is Lacrimosa, because damn does she make a lot of people cry in this. Like if you tallied up all the scenes where people are crying, it would make up at least 30% of this. There's a lot of things on the precipice in this book. We have kind of the precipice of adulthood. You have the will they, won't they of childhood friendships and relationships, the middle ether of godhood, this kind of in between of magic and reality. Like, this was so well laid out. I've said a lot in the last little while that my main problem I've had with books I've read lately is that the ending has always been way too fast. And this was so well done that like the English major inside me was very impressed. And then we have these two devastatingly mysterious love interests, with Alistair being cold but deeply starving for love. And then there is Camille, who is brash and loud but also so loving. My only thing is, why did you make the two love interests siblings? Why did you do that? That was so weird, because at first I thought that it was like, oh, we had a thing with the brother when we were younger, but now that we're older, we're gonna fall in love with the sister. And like I was gonna be like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like they didn't really like do anything, but oh, they do stuff in here. She definitely fucks both of them. And it was like, they try to explain it as the siblings being like, we love each other so much, we would never make the other person unhappy, so we're never going to be jealous. But I'm like, it's still weird. It's still super weird. Why did you make them related? Why? They don't need to be. There's literally nothing in here that would change if they weren't related, if they were just like friends or something like that. Or maybe you have like another cottage on the seashore, and then, oh hey, that's where the third person lives. Why did you make them siblings? I was about to say I'm irrationally angry about this, but I think that is rational. I think this is a very rational thing to be upset about. And no one at Henry Holt be like, hold on a second, like no, in fact no one said anything, makes me question some things. I gave 4 stars too, because I would give 5 stars to it, but I can't morally. Speaking of immorality, and in fact immortality, let's go on to the final book, and my favorite of the month. Surprise, surprise. This month I read not only my new favorite vampire book, but my new favorite V.E. Schwab book. We have a story that centers 3 women and their vampiric tendencies across history, where one thinks with her heart, one thinks with her head, and one thinks with her hunger. It's Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. And this was extra special because V.E. Schwab stopped in Vancouver for the Bury Our Bones tour, and it was so great to see her speak in person. I'm still like enthralled. Is she actually a vampire? That would make a lot of sense. A contemporary take on vampires that follows 3 different women throughout history and their stories of love, rage, and revenge. It's women with sharp teeth, sharp minds, and want. From the very beginning, I was obsessed. This is a stunning book. This is V.E. Schwab's best. The lyricism, the flow, like the melody of this story, this is a banquet. Of our 3 toxic lesbian vampires, we mostly follow Alice, who is our modern day vampire who like just got turned and has enough common sense to be like, ah shit, I gotta deal with this. But I really liked her modern voice. I think her like flashing thoughts were very relatable and very similar to mine, and her family drama flashbacks really helped you fill in this story and like kind of gives you this like foreboding feeling. And then Sabine, who was turned so many years ago, and like her journey of being unapologetically herself and like being a monster, and her want for more all the time, like more blood, more knowledge. Okay, sorry if the lighting looks weird. It's literally getting dark. I was in the middle of yelling about toxic sapphic vampires, and these vampires literally sucked all of the battery out of my camera, and then I had no backup batteries, and then I went and cooked dinner, and I don't know what you want me to say anymore. We're back on track. Sabine basically boils down to, yes, diva, do your thing. There's this really tragic subplot about the slow loss of humanity being like a decay of yourself, and how you can't pinpoint the moment where everything changed for you. Whether death takes you all at once or steals pieces over time, there is no such thing as immortality. So seeing all these women interact with their communities and with their vampire communities in wonderful, warm ways, like found families and speakeasies and vampire cafes, or seeing them fight one another, or watching other vampires slowly decay, really tugged your heartstrings and made this so much more grounded. And the ending is just betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. God damn it, it is bleak. I definitely cried at the ending, but I also kind of just like stared at the wall for a little while. In short, everyone sucks and the world's not fair. Victoria, you beautiful, brilliant soul, you have outdone yourself. I could kiss you on the mouth. The only problem about this being my new favorite V.E. Schwab book is that I already have a tattoo for A Darker Shade of Magic. So I'm gonna have to start planning one around this. Bury my bones in the midnight soil, plant them shallow and water them deep, and in my place will grow a feral rose, soft red petals hiding sharp white teeth. And that's that on that. Thank you all for joining me this afternoon. Those were the 6 Sapphic books that I managed to read in June. Overall, I'm very happy with my reading this month. I read multiple 5-star books and some really cute rom-coms that got me right in the heart. So as always, please leave down below if you have also read some of these things and you want to fangirl about them. As a mood reader, I never know what I'm going to pick up, and it's really hard for me to stick to TBRs, and that's definitely what happened this month. Hence why only Sapphics. But I also kind of feel like this is going to happen for July because I already have a stack of things that I want to read next and I want to read in July. And we'll see. I'm going to put away this stack of books on my floor. I'm going to go mash the potatoes that I've been boiling. I'm going to eat dinner. And maybe I'm going to go to bed before midnight tonight. But I also really want to start reading another book that I just got, so that's not as likely as we think. You know where to click to like the video. You know where to click to subscribe. I hope you guys are all having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week. Bye!